everybody. I'm hoping that we are on live. This is Coach Barbara. This is Real Talk with Love. We had a little technical glitch, so if it came on before, we're back on again. What you're listening to is some music by Preparedness. It's a song called Sisters at the Well, and that's who we are. Sisters at the Well is an organization that started in 2003. Many of you started with us. We're still here. We've been gathering all these years, mainly in person. So we're feeling a little different now because we have to do this virtually, but it hasn't been bad. We've been here for 10 weeks, and I'm so thrilled to be able to come again. So come on in. I see you coming in now. As I said, we started just a few moments ago, and I'm not sure if you saw it, but we're back on live now. And just in case you did, here we are, and we're settled in, and we're getting started. So again, Real Talk with Love. I'm Coach Barbara. Sisters at the Well presents this 30-minute talk for the last 10 weeks since we've been sheltered in due to COVID-19, and it has been actually a pleasure to be here with you. So I have something good, I think, in store. We are talking about emergency preparedness, and God knows we need to be prepared. We've had to do it without any foreknotice, any warning. It just sort of came up on us the end of February, the first week of March. We found ourselves March 10th hearing all the reports about people dying and the need for us to stay inside, and coronavirus was everywhere, and here we are now 4 months really, because this started in February, and we have been sheltered in, and we are still in this crisis. It's not over yet. Although cities and states are opening, we still have a huge problem with this pandemic. We've been distracted just a little bit because we have some other problems that are, some would say, worse than the pandemic. So we're dealing with a lot. And because of that, it's really important for us to, now that we've had some time to get over what I would call the shock of it all, because we were shocked, to get over the shock of it, we now have to start to make sure we have some things in place, right, for the rest of this year, perhaps, and maybe even beyond that. So as you're coming in, I'm thanking you for dropping in for about 30 minutes. Do me a favor, if you would. Would you hit your share button right now and share this so that we can invite some other folks in? Last week, well, actually 2 weeks ago now, we changed the format, and I invited you to submit questions to me offline and inbox me questions you might have. So this week, before we get into our main topic tonight, this week I want to read the question that came in. We got several in, but this is the one I chose because I thought it was pretty significant. So, can you hear me? I hope the volume is good, because I'm sitting a little ways back because I got a lot of stuff in front of me that I'm going to be showing you tonight. So I'm not as close as I normally am. But let me read the question that came in. And I'm going to turn the music down just a little bit. In just a moment, after I read the question, I'll have Kelsey turn the music down. So the question is, with so much going on right now, the conversations about race relations in America is making me even more disturbed, and is bringing up past hurts that I thought I was over. But now I know I'm not. The question, what do I do when I am simply not ready to talk about how I'm feeling with my friends of other races? That's a pretty significant question. The question is, once again, there's so many things to process right now. And as an African American, and the person who submitted this question is an African American woman. As an African American woman, I don't feel like answering questions regarding race relations with my friends of other races. How do I address that? That's a very valid question, right? And I would say that I've had similar feelings. These are very difficult times, and our sensitivity, our emotions are running in every direction. We are worried about so many things all at the same time. Just today, as I was reading an article someone sent me an article, and it was talking about the disproportionate number of African Americans dying due to COVID-19. And the article compared that with the disproportionate number of black folks dying to gun violence, and specifically to police violence. And then it went on to talk about the disproportionate number of black Americans who are suffering because of the economic downfall, the downturn, and losing jobs, and not being, those who even have jobs, not being paid enough of a living wage to take care of their families in the way they want to take care of their families. So in many ways, we're struggling with not 1, 2, 3 major pandemics, if you will, in this country. So to your question, not feeling like talking about it, especially if there's a sense that you have to explain why you are feeling the way you're feeling. I would simply say be honest with your friends. Let them know that you too are processing. Let them know that this is not a time for you where you can sit and explain why there is so much passion and anger and frustration and resentment and bitterness. This is tough. And so some of our friends will have to go and find another way to satisfy their desire to help and be helpful. And it may not come from you. And I don't think you need to feel guilty about it. I don't think you need to really put a whole lot in it, except to say, I'm just not willing to have that conversation with you right now. So that's the best way I can answer that question today. Certainly if we had more time and we were just talking about that, I would go into a little more. But for right now, my answer to you would be honest about it. Let your folks know that this is no time. I'm seeing people on Facebook having full out arguments, almost like just debates on Facebook, and really falling out and finding the block, button and taking people off, what we would call unfriending them, and just really having fights, if you will, on Facebook. This might be a good time just to decide for yourself, this isn't the place or time for me to talk about it. Let me process in the way that I'm processing, and not feeling like I have to answer questions to anyone else. So I hope that answers your question. And this is not our topic for tonight, but this was the answer to the question that was submitted. So I want to shift now to the topic for tonight. The topic for tonight is medical emergency preparedness. Put in the comments, if you will, if you feel that you were ready for this pandemic, that in your home you were ready if there was some kind of medical emergency. If you were, put it in the comment, I think I was ready. Now I will tell you, I've been married to a firefighter, now retired firefighter, for 35 years. I was a flight attendant for 17 years. Both those professions required that emergency preparedness is something that it just became a part of our lives. It's what we did. There is a way to be prepared for emergencies, and there are different ways. I lived in California. We lived in California, so we had to be prepared for earthquakes, right? Fires every year, and of course I was married to a fireman, so when there were big forest fires or brush fires, sometimes I wouldn't see him for days and days and days because they were out on the line fighting fires. And then certainly as a flight attendant, although some might be mistaken about the primary reasons why airplanes have crew members, our first responsibility was to be safety officers on the airplane. And we were trained, and we had to be trained twice a year. We had to really know what to do if the plane went down, if there was an emergency or an accident of any kind on board the airplane. We had to be trained for that. So I will say that I have a little knowledge about emergency preparedness. Today I'm going to talk specifically about medical emergency preparedness, because when this pandemic hit, we weren't ready for this. We hadn't seen anything like this before. And we still, in many ways, are not ready. As you know, in the U.S., we have now almost 2 million cases of folk who have tested positive for the coronavirus. We have over 100,000, I think it's almost 110,000 deaths. Which means if African Americans are disproportionately dying to the tune of 23%, it means from March to now, we have lost about 20 to 25,000 people. That's a lot of people. We have lost African Americans in this country more than 20, somewhere between 20 and 25,000 people have died from the coronavirus. And I would add that that did not need to happen. Certainly people were dying, but at the rate and the reasons why so many African Americans in particular, and they're still studying this and investigating this, the reasons why our communities suffered as much as it did is several reasons. One, lack of access to testing. We're still having trouble getting tested in some communities. This is something that should be available to us every week, because we now know that you can be tested one week, and because the states and cities are opening, you can be exposed the following week. So tested in February, tested in March as I was, doesn't mean that I'm okay. It means that I probably need to be tested again 2, 3, 4 times, as often as necessary. But testing is not available to African Americans at the same rate that it's available to others. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason, disproportionate numbers of people in our community have underlying predisposed risk. And what does that come from? It comes from lack of health care on a regular basis. All of these things are contributing factors to why black people are dying faster than any other group, right? Black people, African Americans, are largely the essential workers, being exposed on the front line, even when the cities are shut down. right? We are the janitors cleaning the buildings. We are the service workers, right? We are the hospitality people. We are the folks working at Walgreens and CVS and the drugstores, the pharmacists. We are the essential workers. And so the risk for exposure is greater. We were the community that could not get PPPs. I couldn't find a N95 mask. When I went out to get them so that I can begin to distributing them, couldn't find them in our communities. And then one very important reason why our numbers were so high as well, we were being sent home from the hospitals. We would go to the hospital to be tested and then sent home. All the symptoms, the likelihood of folks being positive was clear, but they were being sent home to self-quarantine. So if you are in a family of 4 or 6 people, you are exposed. You get sent home from the hospital now to go to your family, and then what happens? Someone's helping to take care of you. You are now putting your family at risk. And we saw and we heard about entire families being tested positive. So again, this is the reason why African Americans are dying from COVID-19 at a much higher rate. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about emergency preparedness. And what are some of the things you can do to prepare yourself, not so much to cure yourself from the virus, not so much to cure yourself, but to make sure that you have what's necessary to minimize your exposure, to get you through the illness, because we know that the virus isn't killing everybody. So how do you maximize your chances of survival? So what I have today, we're going to show and tell. This is my emergency, this is my family emergency medical kit. It's really a bag. And you can see on top of it, this is how you identify. It has this red cross on top of it. This is the bag that I have for our family. If there's an emergency, medical emergency. Now, certainly, since we found out about the coronavirus, I've put some new things in the bag. So what I want to do is share with you some of what I have in this bag so that perhaps it will either encourage you to prepare something similar for yourself, because if we are tested positive and sent home, you have to have something to fight with. And we know that the virus attacks your immune system. It shows up as a very bad flu in most cases, right? So in this bag, I'm going to start with the bag, and then I'm going to move over to this little grouping and go through what I have to share with you. But let's make it a little bit of fun, okay? So first of all, we know that we have to hand wash. So in the bag, and I have pockets all over this bag. And by the way, I ordered this one on Amazon because I'm kind of an Amazon queen here, and I'm not doing a plug for them, but that's just what it is. Soap, right? Keep it in the bag. In another pocket, I have, and I've always had this, a stack, and I have boxes around the house, but I have a stack of disposable gloves, right? So that if you're taking care of a family member, you have to change these all day long. I have about 4 boxes here, but in my bag, I have a handful of them in the bag, okay? That's my first 2 little small pockets. Then I'm going to open my next pocket, and I have, let's see what's in here. This is is a Ziploc bag. My family laugh at me because they call me the Ziploc bag queen. But in here I have trash bags and I have a marker. And the trash bags is so that if I'm taking care of myself or a family member and they happen to have the virus, let's say, clothes, soiled clothes, or trash, or paper, or anything that we're using gets disposed. Here's trash bags. So the medical bag stays in the room, and I'll talk about that later. But trash bags with a marker, so I can mark on the bag what it is, because I don't want to throw the bag out and have the sanitation worker exposed to anything. So I mark on the bag, okay? So that's what's there. I'll take stuff out as we go. Then, of course, you know you have to have Lysol. I have lots and lots and lots of, I had a box of these, and they're everywhere around the house. Lysol wipes, okay? Real important, you know that. Okay, and I'll go a little faster. Then in this little Ziploc bag, this is a emergency, it actually came with that. I have about 3 of those. In here, I have some loose items, and actually what they are, these are like over-the-counter aspirin and BC and some other over-the-counter drugs, right? I have in this little pouch. Okay. I also have in here cash. You have to have emergency cash in your house. Now, I won't tell you how much this is, but I have cash. And fortunately, because you don't know, when there's an emergency, you don't know if you're going to be able to go to the bank. You don't know if you're going to be able to go to an ATM. So it's important to keep cash, and it's important to keep small bills. So I always have at least $100 worth of small bills, but then there's other cash in case I need to have some kind of service. I have some cash available, and it stays in this bag. I don't ever take it out. Okay, I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to go to the left pocket. In this pocket, I have masks. This was a new addition to my bag because I didn't have this before. But here is the N95 mask. There's about 5 of them in here. And then here's my Kente mask that we need, because these masks, you can wash them and reuse them. So if your family member is using a mask today, they take it off, you wash it, and you have more in there. So I keep a nice little stack of masks. Okay, that's in that pocket. In this pocket, water, a bottle of water. Of course, I have cases of water in the house, but I have a bottle of water specifically in this bag. I also have this book, Back to Eden. And old heads, y'all know about this book. Back to Eden is a remedy book for, it suggests natural medicines for whatever ails you. So I have this in this bag just in case. Okay? Now I'm going to go to the other, I'm going to save the middle for last. I'm going to go to the other side pocket. I have socks. Again, if you have a virus, we're talking specifically about the coronavirus now, you have socks, okay? Then I'm going to go to this pocket. And these 2 things in this pocket are critical. A thermometer. You will be taking your temperature if you have the virus all day long. So you need to have a thermometer. When the virus broke out, it was so hard to find thermometers. So it's something you must have in your household no matter what, right? Because even with telemedicine now, your doctors will ask you, I've had several telemedicine appointments, and they will ask you to take your temperature. So you need to have a thermometer on hand. You also need to have a blood pressure cuff. Again, your doctors are going to ask you to take your own blood pressure. This is really important. If you get sent back home, you need to have tools that will help you monitor yourself. Blood pressure cuff, thermometer, essential tools for your medicine emergency bag. I'm going to the middle section now. In this middle section, these are new items that I added to the bag since COVID-19. These are eye goggles. So again, if you're taking care of someone, you want to make sure your eyes are protected, okay? Every emergency bag needs a flashlight. So any bag, whether it's for your car or home, you got to have a flashlight. Especially if you are quarantined in your house, if there's no power, you have a flashlight in your bag. Okay? This is a typical first aid kit that you can purchase from Costco, Sam's, Target, anywhere, Amazon. And in this first aid kit, it has all kinds of things. Every kind of bandage you can think of, right? It has disposable sizes of ointments and bandages and cotton and scissors and all kinds of things. You can buy that already. You don't have to put it together, but you have a first aid kit in your bag. Again, this was an add-on for me. This, and I'm not going to take it out of the bag, but this is a complete head covering. It's like I don't know what you even call it, but it's the gear that you put over your head, right? If you have to put on, and what it goes with are these disposable gowns. So I have about 5 of these. So if you were taking care of a family member and you have to change these out, this one you can disinfect, right? Because this is the headpiece. But these are the disposable gowns that you would have to wear if you were dealing with a contagious virus like the one we're talking about. These are 3 coveralls. So I bought these in case if you had to go to the hospital and you had to be transported. You know, you can go into the hospital, especially 2 months ago when the virus was first out, and you can walk into the contamination. So I bought these coveralls so that if either one of us needed it, and it's Stan and myself, that we would have that. Okay, so now I'm going to go, this is a baggie full of cotton balls. I'm going to go a little faster. And then in here I have alcohol and witch hazel. Okay? These are all things that you need for disinfecting. And then I'm going to make you laugh. This was especially for me a fan because I'm always hot. And some of you will relate to being hot all the time. So that's it on the bag. Now what I want to do, and I'm going a little fast because I don't want to go too much over our time. I want to talk about the medicines that are available. They're not in the bag, but these are the medicines. And you have to have your over-the-counter medicines. You saw alcohol. Well, I have both the white and the green. Now, I really don't know which one does what, but I know in my home, we always had the white and the green alcohol. So, when I was growing up. So, alcohol. Witch hazel. Flea enema. Keep going. Specifically, dealing with the coronavirus, zinc lozenges. This is important to have. They were hard to find, but you have to get this and keep them. Zinc lozenges. Okay. I'm just showing you some of the things. I found out from folks who were hospitalized, who had the virus, Mucinex is what they give you in the hospital. So, of course, you want to make sure you have some Mucinex. Okay? And now I'm going to go, this one, elderberry. So I have a list. I call it the, Kelsey's going to help me keep time. How much time we have? I have a list of what I'm calling, and we'll put this in the thread, 20 medicines from the wisdom circle. You know what I mean? This is from Big Mama and Nana and Auntie and Grandma. 20 medicines, and you all can relate to this. The first one on the list is Vicks Vapor Rub. You know, every household got to have Vicks. Vicks is for everything, but mainly it's for colds, right? Some of y'all grew up and they made y'all eat the Vicks too. Castor oil. I'm going to read them off. Castor oil is for constipation and clean out. Bengay, not necessarily for coronavirus, but I'm told that you are in pain, that your joints hurt. Bengay is for joint pain and arthritis. Eucalyptus oil. Y'all remember that? Another one of those for everything, but this is nasal congestion, skin rash, asthma. People who suffer from asthma, if you get this virus, it's one of those pre-existing conditions that will only worsen. Eucalyptus oil. Witch hazel, we talked about that. Mercurochrome. Who remembers? Put in the comments if you remember mercurochrome. And that'll tell your age too, by the way. Mercurochrome is for minor cuts and scrapes. Cod liver oil did everything. It's for arthritis, it's for joint stiffness, it's for, and you can also take it for colds. Father John, y'all remember that? Father John helps you with colds and flu, sore throat. Those are also conditions of the virus. Aloe vera plant and the oil. Laxative, skin treatment, psoriasis, acne, and any kind of rashes, and it's good for your digestive system. This is one that I wanted to make you laugh. Some of you will remember this. BC powder. BC powder. Now some of y'all took this with Coca-Cola. I know, because they used to do this at my house. I ain't gonna say I did it, but some of y'all did. BC powder is a good pain relief, headache, menstrual cycle, any kind of muscular pain. That's what we use that for. Hot water bottles. Is this sounding familiar to you? You've got to have a hot water bottle in your house. It's not just for menstrual cramps, but it's also for chills and any kind of pain. So if you are sheltered in and you have to take care of yourself, you're basically creating your own little urgent care at home. And you're putting it all in one place to make sure that you can take care of your folks. I'm going to ask Kelsey to bring me a bottle of brown stuff. She knows what I mean. Brown liquor, that's on the list. If you didn't have no brown liquor in your house growing up, even the Christians had brown liquor in their house, because brown liquor was used for sleepless nights, decongestion, and certainly we made hot toddies with that, and it was for colds. And so all the Christians had colds, and they would use brown liquor. Epsom salt. You got to have that. And this is for everything. But the most important thing, it's a mood stabilizer. With all the emotional stuff we got going on, mood stabilizer, anxiety, stress relief, and depression. A nice hot bath in Epsom salt will do that. Elderberry, I talked about that. And then in the Bahamas, where I grew up, we had something, we used a lot of bush medicine. We had something called shepherd needles. It was a plant, and it looked like it had little white flowers on it. But it was for measles or poison ivy or any kind of skin condition. So if you broke out with anything, they would make tea out of this and give it to you. Cerasee plant, same thing. Cerasee plant was for hypertension, diabetes, worms. It was a detox. It was for fever and colds. And 3S tonic, you might remember that. 3S tonic, that was for iron. They say if you have the virus, that you are fatigued and that you have no energy, 3S tonic is one of those things. Geritol will do the same thing, help you to build up your energy. Tea tree oil is for anti-inflammatory medicine. It's for acne, athlete's feet, lice, and nail fungus. And then the last one on my list of 20 is black and white ointment. I don't know if you all remember black and white ointment, but black and white ointment was for everything. Any kind of bite, any kind of breakout, rash, anything like that. We use black and white ointment. So I hope, let me see what else is in here. How much time I have, Kels? Vaseline. Every household got to have Vaseline. 2 and 3 jars of that is important. This is Neosporin. This is Senecot. So I'm just naming off some things that I have in here that was not on the list. This right here, this is a sea salt inhaler. You saw the salt come up like a salt shaker. But when you are at the sea, now of course I'm an island girl, when you are by the salt water, you get in the salt water, it has healing properties. So for me, I have these in every room, and you just inhale it and just keep that sea salt sort of in your system. So this is, then finally, this is a shield. In the height of the virus, when I had to go out, especially I had to go to my doctor's office, as I said to you, I was tested at one point, and thank God I'm good, tested negative. But I wore this cap with this shield. And I will ask you, you can get them in all kinds now. And you can get something like this to wear out just to the grocery store, the bank, or the post office, which is where I go once a week. I go out of the house every Wednesday. And that's been my life for the last 3 months. And I don't care if it looks funny. What I'm trying to do is live. And what we need to do is live. So I'm saying establish your own little urgent care right at home, so that if something should happen, and it could be this virus, it could be anything, you have what you need. And then for those of you who have other circumstances, you know the medication that you have to have on hand. I have 3 months supply of my medicines that I take on hand. When the virus broke out, I called my doctor and I said I need a prescription for 90 days because I don't know how this is going to go. And if you have children, there's some other things that you may want to have, especially for your children. You know what your needs are. I would just like to encourage you to let's get on the other side of COVID-19. Let's prepare our homes. Let's teach our families how to be ready for any emergency. But especially in this time, let us be prepared. We don't know what's going to happen, but we can fight like the Dickens to save our lives and to save our families' lives, because we're not so sure what's happening in the system. We can't depend on the system to take care of us. We got to fight. We got to fight. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that you were encouraged by it. With so much going on, I pray that you and your family are healthy and well. And for those of you who may have lost loved ones, family and friends, we pray for your comfort and your peace, and we are with you. God bless you. Have a good night. Thank you. Put something in the thread if you want me to hear your feedback. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.